7 Habits That Changed My Life in 1 Week. Written and published by United Sports. Some of the most powerful transformations in life begin in silence, before the world wakes, before the chaos begins, and before the distractions arrive. True change doesn't demand fanfare, it requires intention. And it all starts with how you wake up. When a person decides to wake up with purpose, everything begins to shift, from thoughts to actions, from moods to outcomes. This habit, though simple on the surface, holds the key to unlocking the potential that lies dormant within. This is where the journey begins, where excuses fade, and responsibility rises. The first few minutes of your day are not just minutes, they're messages to your mind. Waking up with purpose sends a signal to your brain that you're not just living another day, you're building a new life. It says you are in control. It says you are ready to lead your own journey. When you wake up aimlessly, the day controls you. But when you wake up intentionally, you control the day. That's the shift. That's the seed that changes everything else. Waking up with purpose doesn't mean waking up at 4 a.m. or copying someone else's routine. It means waking up for something, whether it's a goal, a mission, or simply to become a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. This habit trains your mind to reject the comfort of delay and embrace the discipline of direction. It teaches you to rise even when it's easier to rest. And in that rising, you become stronger. A purposeful morning builds momentum. It's the spark that sets the tone for the next 24 hours. People who start their day without intention often stumble through the hours, reacting instead of leading. But those who anchor their mornings in purpose rise with clarity and walk with confidence. It's not about how long you sleep. It's about what you do with the time once you're awake. This is where the winners separate themselves from the rest. When you rise with purpose, your mind becomes sharper. Your heart becomes lighter. You find yourself making decisions that align with your future, not your fatigue. You don't wake up for the alarm clock. You wake up for your life. You wake up because the person you are becoming depends on the actions you take before the world even knows you're awake. That quiet victory, of showing up when no one's watching, is what sets the champions apart. This habit lays the foundation for all others. If you cannot command your morning, how can you expect to command your future? Every strong habit begins with awareness. And there is no greater awareness than realizing the day is a gift, not a burden. Most people sleep through their potential, not because they are lazy, but because they lack intention. Waking up with purpose is the antidote to that. It turns sleep into strategy. Your morning is your mirror. If it begins in chaos, the rest of your day often follows. But when it begins in calm, in control, and with clarity, you build a rhythm that echoes throughout every hour that follows. Whether you choose to stretch, read, journal, or simply breathe deeply for a few moments, the key is to own your morning before the world owns your time. That small decision will create massive results over time. Purpose fuels consistency, and consistency builds character. When you wake up with purpose, you are no longer a victim of your emotions or surroundings. You become a creator of your own path. Your energy becomes directed, not drained. Your habits become anchored, not accidental. That's the difference between drifting and driving. And driving your life starts when you rise with reason, not reluctance. People often look for big changes to turn their lives around. But the truth is, big change starts with small control. Waking up with purpose is the smallest form of self-control, yet it unlocks the biggest results. It's a daily declaration: I will show up. I will grow. I will not waste this day. And when you stack days like that, one purposeful morning after another, you don't just change your week. You change your identity. This is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about having every step figured out. It's about taking the first one with intention. Waking up with purpose helps you think clearer, feel deeper, and act stronger. And once this habit is embedded into your routine, it makes every other habit easier to build. Because when you conquer the morning, the rest of the day becomes a series of victories stacked on top of the first one. This habit also prepares the mind to focus, which will be the next powerful shift in this 7-day journey. Without a purposeful start, focus is impossible. Distractions creep in. Doubts grow louder. But when the day starts on your terms, your mind becomes a weapon. You don't get pulled in every direction. You move with decision, not confusion. And in the next part, we will unlock the secret to mastering that focus. If you felt stuck, unfocused, or overwhelmed, start here. Start with one morning. Wake up not because you have to, but because you choose to. Because your goals deserve it. Because your future demands it. And because the life you want doesn't begin someday. It begins the moment you decide that every single day matters. This is United Sports. Like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing content. Your transformation has already begun. When the first hour of the day is where direction is set. After rising with purpose, the next critical step is how that first hour is spent. This single block of time becomes the fuel tank for the rest of the day. It either lifts a person up or weighs them down. What happens in that first hour doesn't just shape actions. It shapes attitude, energy, and focus. Those who take control of the first hour often take control of their entire life. It's a quiet time when the world is still slow and silent. And that's exactly why it's powerful. It's not about rushing into tasks or answering messages. It's about grounding the mind before the noise of the world begins. Without this foundation, the day collapses under pressure. Starting the day by scrolling through social media or checking notifications places the mind in a reactive state. Instead of choosing direction, people get dragged by distractions. But when the first hour is owned, when it's filled with clarity, movement, reflection, or peace, the rest of the day flows with confidence and strength. A great first hour doesn't require perfection, but it does demand presence. Whether it's a simple walk, journaling a few thoughts, reading a few powerful lines, or sitting in silence, the goal is alignment. Alignment between who you are and who you are becoming. That's where real growth starts to root itself. Success is not always about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less, but doing it with full intention. The first hour teaches this lesson well. One mindful breath, one strong affirmation, one stretch, one cup of water. These small wins, stacked early, build the emotional muscle for bigger challenges later in the day. When a person takes charge of the first hour, they build trust with themselves. They prove they can show up, not just for the world, but for their own well-being. That's where confidence is born, not from the approval of others, but from the quiet discipline of doing what needs to be done, even when no one else is watching. There is power in simplicity. A morning routine doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent. The goal isn't to impress anyone, it's to improve yourself. And when that's the focus, transformation is not only possible, it becomes predictable. Small, repeated steps lead to massive life changes. This hour is also the best time to set intentions. What do you want to feel today? Who do you want to be? What needs your focus most? These questions don't just organize your thoughts, they activate your mind. They build awareness. And awareness leads to better choices, which lead to better results. Many successful people credit their achievements to the way they start their mornings. But this is not reserved for the elite or the extraordinary. Anyone can claim their first hour. Anyone can build a rhythm that brings calm before the storm. All it takes is a decision to stop letting life happen and start creating life on your terms. Winning the first hour doesn't mean never having a bad day. It means being prepared to handle it better. It means facing problems with a full battery instead of an empty one. Because when the foundation is solid, the storms don't shake you, they shape you. This hour also teaches patience. It's not about rushing into hustle mode. It's about preparing your mind and body for meaningful work. When you slow down with intention, you move faster with purpose. Rushing is not progress. Clarity is. Consistency in this hour creates rhythm. And rhythm builds identity. Soon, it becomes less about what you do and more about who you are becoming. You don't just do the routine, you live the lifestyle. That's when discipline becomes part of your DNA. Gratitude is another key to this hour. Taking a few moments to reflect on what you're thankful for shifts your mindset instantly. It turns pressure into perspective. It replaces scarcity with abundance. And it reminds you that you're already walking in progress. The first hour also allows space for visualizing your day. Mentally rehearsing your goals, seeing yourself succeeding, and reminding yourself of your why are not just feel-good practices. They're powerful strategies that train the subconscious to believe, act, and achieve. This habit creates a clear difference between those who drift and those who decide. Drifters wake up into the storm. Doers create the calm before the storm. They move through life with more direction because they started the day with intention, not impulse. The beauty of winning the first hour is that it makes everything else easier. Decisions are made quicker. Focus becomes sharper. Emotional control gets stronger. And distractions lose their grip. It's a ripple effect. One good hour leads to a good day, and good days lead to great lives. Even on the toughest days, the first hour serves as an anchor. It reminds you who you are and what you're fighting for. It keeps you grounded when emotions rise and problems appear. That's why it's sacred. That's why it must be protected at all costs. Without mastering the first hour, the next habits lose their foundation. Just like a building cannot rise without a strong base, life cannot change without a solid start. This hour makes room for what truly matters: mental strength, emotional balance, and deep focus. In the next part of this journey, we will dive into the habit that supports and sustains this momentum, mastering the art of focus. Because without focus, even the best plans fall apart. But with focus, even small steps lead to massive progress. Master the art of focus. Focus is not just about blocking out distractions. It's about directing your energy with purpose. After learning to wake up with intention and owning the first hour of the day, the natural progression is to sharpen your ability to concentrate. Without focus, even the most well-planned morning becomes scattered. Focus is the glue that holds your efforts together and turns them into results. Every single day, the world is competing for your attention. Notifications, noise, endless scrolling. It's all designed to steal your focus. But those who transform their lives in just 1 week understand this. Attention is currency. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. If you waste your attention, you waste your power. But when you master focus, you control your outcomes. When a person wakes up with purpose and wins their first hour, they are not just getting ahead of the day, they are protecting their mind. And the best way to protect the mind is to train it. Focus is a skill, not a gift. It's developed through repetition, patience, and awareness. Those who think clearly don't necessarily have fewer distractions. They've simply built stronger boundaries. Focus doesn't require you to be perfect. It only asks that you be present. You don't need hours of silence. You just need moments of clarity. Whether you're studying, working, or building something meaningful, your ability to fully lock in will determine how quickly you progress. And the more you practice focus, the easier it becomes to enter that state of flow where time slows down and productivity speeds up. When you eliminate distractions, even for short bursts, your confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself again. You feel the difference between empty busyness and deep progress. This is the moment where clarity replaces confusion. Suddenly, tasks that once felt overwhelming start to feel manageable. That's the magic of focused energy. It multiplies your impact in less time. Focus also teaches discipline. It's the ability to say no to what doesn't matter so you can say yes to what does. In a world filled with noise, focus becomes your superpower. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters better. And when you align your focus with your purpose, you move with intention, not anxiety. The most successful people in the world are not the busiest. They are the most focused. They guard their time like gold because they know 1 hour of deep work is more valuable than 5 hours of scattered effort. They don't chase everything. They chase the right things. And that's a habit anyone can build, no matter where they're starting from. One of the simplest ways to build focus is to create space, physically and mentally. A clean workspace, a quiet environment, even just a short break from digital distractions can reset your brain. Clarity loves space. When the noise fades, the right ideas rise. And in those moments of quiet, your best thinking happens. Focus also requires intention. Before diving into any task, ask, what is my goal right now? That one question turns random activity into purposeful action. It eliminates guesswork and centers your mind on results. You don't need to do everything today, but what you do choose to do should get your full attention. That's how momentum is built. Multitasking is a myth. It divides your power and weakens your results. The mind works best when it's single-tasking, doing one thing at a time with full presence. Whether you're writing, learning, building, or simply listening, be all in. Half effort leads to half growth, but full focus creates breakthroughs. Focus also boosts your emotions. When you're deeply engaged in something meaningful, anxiety fades. Regret disappears. Overthinking loses its grip. Because your mind isn't scattered in the past or worrying about the future. It's present, powerful, and productive. That's how peace is found, not in doing less, but in focusing more. This habit is especially important as your new daily routines evolve. With each focused hour, your brain rewires itself to seek depth instead of distraction. You begin to crave progress, not pleasure. You become energized by results, not reactions. That shift doesn't just change your week, it reshapes your identity. Just like muscles in the gym, your ability to focus grows with practice. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. At first, it might be difficult. You may catch yourself reaching for your phone or losing track of time. That's normal. The key is to gently bring yourself back, to notice the drift and reset. Every reset is a rep, and every rep makes you better. Set boundaries that protect your focus. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Set specific times for checking messages. Let others know when you're in deep work mode. These small decisions compound into big breakthroughs. Because when you respect your focus, others start to respect it too. Another powerful habit is to take short breaks between focus sessions. Step away, breathe, walk, reflect, then come back with a fresh mind. These pauses aren't distractions, they're refueling stops. They allow your brain to absorb what it's learned and prepare for the next round of creation or growth. As your focus strengthens, so does your sense of purpose. Things become clearer. You start noticing what drains you and what drives you. You become more selective with your time and more connected to your goals. That inner alignment is powerful. It pulls you forward without forcing it. That's what focus does. It turns pressure into purpose. You'll also notice that your self-respect increases. There's something deeply satisfying about giving your full energy to something and seeing it grow. Whether it's a project, a habit, a dream, or a relationship, focus is how you nurture it. And when you see the progress, you start believing in yourself on a deeper level. With strong focus, every area of life begins to shift. You become more intentional with your words, your time, your thoughts. You no longer chase everything. You pursue what matters. That brings peace. That brings power. And that brings progress faster than anything else. This habit of mastering focus builds perfectly on the two that came before it. First, you woke up with purpose. Then you won your first hour. Now, by mastering focus, you're turning those efforts into tangible results. And this sets the stage for something even deeper. Feeding the mind, not just the body. In the next part, we unlock the power of what you consume, not just through food, but through thoughts, learning, and inner fuel. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep showing up. You are not just building habits. You are building the future version of yourself. This is United Sports. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful lessons coming your way. Fuel your mind, not just your body. The habits formed in the morning are not just physical. They are deeply mental and emotional. After building a purposeful wake-up routine, after mastering the power of the first hour, and after learning to focus with intensity, there comes a habit that silently fuels all the rest, feeding your mind. It's often overlooked. People obsess over workouts, diets, and routines, but forget that the mind needs nourishment just as much as the body. Without it, motivation fades and clarity disappears. The human brain is a powerful engine, but like any engine, it runs best when it's fueled properly. And what fuels the mind is not noise, it's wisdom. What fuels the mind is not distraction, it's direction. When a person feeds their mind with positive, empowering thoughts and lessons, the world begins to shift in their favor. Not because life changes overnight, but because their perception of life becomes sharper, calmer, and more powerful. One of the simplest yet most transformational habits is reading something uplifting each morning. Not scrolling, not comparing, but reading something that builds the mindset. Even 5 minutes of reading a book filled with purpose can rewire an entire day. The brain absorbs what you give it. If you feed it fear, you live in fear. But if you feed it growth, you walk in strength. Listening to powerful audio, just like this one, can become a morning ritual. Words carry energy, and when the right words are absorbed daily, they form thoughts. Those thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs, they become the story you live by. A person's reality is a reflection of the story they repeat to themselves. That story can be rewritten every single day. Fueling the mind also means protecting it. Just as we avoid toxic foods, we must avoid toxic information. The news, the negativity, the complaints of others. These things might seem harmless, but they take up mental space. And what takes up space shapes your state. Protecting your mind is not isolation. It's elevation. It's choosing peace over panic, growth over gossip. A focused mind is not born, it's trained. And that training happens when you decide to be intentional about what enters your mental space. From music to conversations, from books to thoughts, it all adds up. Just as a poor diet weakens the body, poor content weakens the mind. This is why successful people guard their minds as if their future depends on it, because it does. Affirmations are another simple way to fuel the mind. Repeating positive statements might seem awkward at first, but over time, they reshape the inner dialogue. And that dialogue matters more than any external validation. I am strong. I am disciplined. I am focused. These aren't just words, they are seeds. And when planted daily, they grow into unshakable self-belief. One of the biggest lessons is this: you become what you consume. Not just in food, but in thoughts, in conversations, and in content. If your mind is constantly surrounded by stress and negativity, it will produce anxiety. But if you surround it with encouragement, with knowledge, and with vision, it begins to build resilience. You can't control every thought, but you can control what you feed them. Feeding your mind is not about motivation bursts. It's about rewiring your mindset to default to strength instead of struggle. It's about creating a daily mental environment where confidence grows naturally. Just like muscles grow through repeated reps, the mind grows through repeated truth. And that truth must be chosen on purpose. This habit doesn't require hours. It requires intention. Even 10 quiet minutes each day with the right book, the right voice, or the right question can change the trajectory of your entire week. It clears confusion. It silences doubt. It awakens something powerful within, the version of you that's been waiting to lead. Your body can be in motion, but if your mind is in chaos, progress will feel empty. That's why this habit is not optional. It's essential, because the person who masters their inner world begins to influence the outer one. And that influence begins when you take responsibility for your mental diet. Gratitude is another powerful way to feed the mind. Writing down, or simply reflecting on what you're thankful for each morning shifts the entire lens through which you see life. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means choosing perspective. And perspective is what keeps you grounded in storms and humble in success. There's a calm confidence that comes from a nourished mind. It doesn't shout. It doesn't prove. It simply knows. When the mind is fed with positivity, purpose, and peace, it naturally attracts better choices, better conversations, better relationships. That's how momentum is built, by feeding the mind what it needs to thrive, not just survive. Most people live in reaction, but those who feed their minds daily begin to respond instead. They pause. They reflect. They see through situations, rather than being trapped by them. This power is not given. It's earned, through small, consistent habits that elevate your awareness. Once the mind is fed, everything changes. You work smarter. You speak clearer. You listen deeper. You're not just productive, you're powerful. Not because of a loud ego, but because of a quiet certainty. That certainty only comes from preparation. And the best preparation is a mind trained to win, one thought at a time. This habit doesn't replace the earlier ones. It supports them. You wake up with purpose, you win your first hour, you master focus. And now, you fuel the very machine that powers them all, your mind. This is the core. Without it, the other habits fade. But with it, they grow stronger each day. The most amazing part? This habit creates emotional strength too. When your mind is well fed, you can handle failure with grace. You can handle stress with strategy. You can handle delay without quitting. Emotional intelligence grows when mental strength is prioritized. In the next part, we'll dive into the power of movement and how daily discipline in the body reinforces every mental lesson you've built so far. Because a strong mind in a tired body loses momentum fast. The mind and body must work together. But it all starts with a mind that's no longer starving, but fully alive. So fuel your mind every single day. Because your thoughts shape your future. Your beliefs build your habits. And your habits, when aligned, build a life of unstoppable growth. This is United Sports. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and continue the journey of becoming the best version of yourself. Move daily, stay disciplined. Once the mind is clear and the focus is sharp, the body must follow. Without movement, energy stays stuck. And when energy is stuck, progress feels impossible. The fifth habit is simple but life-changing. Move daily and stay disciplined. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. It's not about being an athlete, it's about honoring the body you live in. The body is the engine of action, and when the engine is still for too long, it forgets how to run. A person doesn't need a gym membership or a fancy plan to move daily. They just need a decision to show up for themselves, to walk, to stretch, to move in any form. Movement isn't just physical, it's emotional release, mental clarity, and spiritual balance. Discipline begins in the small promises you keep with yourself, and daily movement is one of those promises. It teaches the mind to lead and the body to follow. Some days the movement will be powerful. Other days, it will be gentle. But the commitment stays the same. Do something. Every single day. The difference between someone who grows and someone who stays stuck is not talent, it's discipline. And discipline is built through repetition. The habit of daily movement wires the brain for effort, and effort creates results. One walk, one stretch, one rep at a time, a stronger version of you begins to emerge. When a person moves their body, they move their emotions. Stress is released. Frustration is lowered. Clarity returns. Moving daily becomes a tool to manage not only health, but also mindset. It reminds the individual that they are not helpless, they are powerful. They can choose movement over stagnation, action over excuses. This habit feeds into every other one. A strong body supports a strong mind. Focus becomes easier. Energy becomes higher. Sleep improves. Productivity increases. That's why this habit is not optional. It's foundational. It supports the mission of waking up with purpose, of winning the first hour, of mastering focus, and of fueling the mind. Discipline doesn't mean harshness. It means direction. It's the inner voice that says, I will do this because I made a promise to myself. When discipline is practiced through movement, it grows. That same discipline starts showing up in other areas. What we eat, how we work, how we rest, and how we lead. There are days when motivation won't be there. That's normal. But discipline doesn't rely on motivation, it relies on memory. The memory of who you are becoming. The memory of how it felt when you followed through. Movement becomes a symbol of that follow-through. It reminds the person that action creates identity. A person who moves daily begins to feel more alive. Their thoughts become clearer. Their posture changes. Their energy shifts. Movement creates momentum, and momentum turns ordinary days into productive ones. Even just 10 minutes a day creates a ripple effect that goes far beyond the body. No one regrets a walk. No one regrets stretching. No one regrets the decision to move when it would have been easier to stay still. Movement builds self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of self-worth. The more you keep showing up, the more you believe in yourself. And the more you believe in yourself, the more unstoppable you become. Discipline through movement doesn't just build muscle, it builds mindset. It turns I can't into I can, and I'll try into I did. The act of showing up physically creates the mindset to show up mentally. And that mindset spills into relationships, work, creativity, and confidence. There is no perfect movement. There is only consistent movement. Some days will be easier than others, but the goal is never perfection. It's participation. The discipline of daily movement teaches a person to keep going, not to impress the world, but to honor themselves. This habit makes a person feel connected to their body again. In a world full of distraction and overthinking, movement brings a return to simplicity. To feel the breath, to feel the ground, to feel the strength that is slowly being built, one step, one push, one stretch at a time. It also teaches patience. Physical change doesn't happen overnight, and neither does life change. But movement reminds us that change is happening, even if we can't see it yet. Every drop of sweat, every aching muscle, every finished walk is proof that the person is not the same as they were yesterday. Daily movement doesn't need to be loud or visible. It just needs to be real. It's in the quiet decision to roll out of bed and stretch, to take the stairs instead of the elevator, to walk instead of scroll, These small moments build an unshakable foundation of self-respect and inner power. When a person makes movement a non-negotiable part of their day, they send a message to their future self. I've got your back. It's not about how far they go or how fast. They're simply showing up. And showing up daily is one of the highest forms of self-love and discipline a human can practice. This fifth habit deepens every lesson learned before it. A person who wakes up with purpose needs energy. A person who wins their first hour needs strength. A person who focuses deeply needs physical stamina. A person who feeds their mind needs to move their body. It's all connected. Movement is not about the body alone. It's about mindset, identity, and momentum. When done daily, it becomes an anchor, a reminder that no matter how out of control the world may seem, this one thing remains within reach. One decision, one action, one step forward. In the next part of the journey, the habit becomes about what we subtract, not what we add. Because sometimes, discipline also means knowing when to disconnect. After the body has been activated, the next lesson is about silence, about stepping away from the noise to find clarity, peace, and presence. Every great transformation is built on small, daily actions. And movement is one of the greatest of them all. Keep moving, keep showing up, and keep building the person you were always meant to become. Disconnect to reconnect. Once a person learns how to wake up with purpose, win their first hour, sharpen their focus, fuel their mind, and move daily with discipline, there's still one more silent habit that holds incredible power: the habit of disconnecting to reconnect. In today's world, people are constantly connected to everything but themselves. Phones, notifications, endless scrolling. It all pulls the mind away from the present moment. Real growth requires space, and space is only found when one chooses to disconnect. In order to stay grounded, people must learn to step away from noise. Success isn't built only through action. It's also built through reflection, stillness, and peace. When someone disconnects from distractions, they give themselves a chance to reconnect with what truly matters: their thoughts, their goals, and their inner peace. Without this pause, burnout becomes inevitable. But with it, the mind finds clarity and balance. Throughout this journey, every habit introduced so far has one thing in common: they require mental energy. Focus, discipline, purpose, these all drain the mind. That's why disconnection is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It restores what ambition can sometimes exhaust. It gives the body rest and the mind breathing room. Without space, even the best habits feel heavy. When a person learns to disconnect from the digital world, they often discover a deeper world within themselves. Silence is uncomfortable at first because it reveals what's been ignored: feelings, fears, or even dreams left behind. But those who push through the discomfort often uncover their greatest insights. This is where breakthroughs begin, not in the noise, but in the quiet moments of self-awareness. Time spent alone, away from screens, is not time wasted. It's time invested. The mind is like a muscle. It needs recovery to grow stronger. When people are always reacting to messages, calls, and notifications, their attention gets scattered. But in moments of solitude, attention sharpens. Thoughts settle. Priorities become clear again. Disconnection becomes the reset button for a focused and fulfilled life. Many people believe that productivity means constant activity. But the wisest individuals understand that true productivity includes pauses. Think of nature. Seasons change. Trees rest in winter so they can bloom in spring. The same goes for human growth. The habit of disconnecting creates seasons of recovery so the next phase of life can be stronger, more vibrant, more intentional. Reconnecting starts with simple steps. Taking a walk without a phone. Spending a few minutes each day in silence. Setting limits on screen time. Having moments where the only thing you hear is your breath. These are small shifts, but they create massive mental space. And in that space, creativity is born. Purpose is remembered. Life feels fuller. In this quiet, people often remember who they were before the world told them who to be. They start to recognize the difference between what's urgent and what's important, between what's distracting and what's meaningful. Disconnecting gives them the power to choose how they live, instead of being pulled along by habits they never questioned. Every day holds a moment, a window of opportunity to disconnect. Whether it's early in the morning, during a break, or before sleep. Choosing that moment can bring stillness to a chaotic life. It's in this stillness that people find not only rest, but strength. Stillness doesn't slow progress, it strengthens it. Sometimes the most powerful progress happens when a person steps back, when they stop consuming and start reflecting, when they stop speaking and start listening to their intuition, their values, their vision. The noise outside dims, and the voice within becomes louder. That voice is the compass to a life that feels real, fulfilling, and true. It takes courage to disconnect in a world that praises constant hustle. But the truth is, peace is more valuable than popularity. Clarity is more powerful than chaos. And those who learn to protect their energy will go further, with less stress and more joy. The strength to pause is often what separates the burned out from the unstoppable. As one builds this habit, they realize that their presence grows stronger. Conversations feel richer. Work becomes more focused. Sleep becomes deeper. Life starts to feel less like a race and more like a journey. Disconnecting helps realign priorities, and that alignment becomes the foundation for everything else. People are not machines. They don't need to be on all the time. Even the most driven individuals require a reset. And that reset begins with permission. The permission to slow down without guilt, to rest without apology, to be alone without fear. In that space, the spirit breathes again. When someone learns to disconnect, they become more intentional with what they reconnect to. They stop giving energy to meaningless scrolling and start giving energy to growth, love, and purpose. It's not about abandoning technology. It's about using it without being used by it. The goal is not disconnection forever, but temporary space to realign. This habit strengthens all the other habits. A mind that rests will focus better. A body that disconnects from stress will move better. A person who's not constantly overstimulated will think clearer and act with deeper purpose. Every lesson from the previous parts gains new life when space is created to let them settle in. Growth doesn't just happen in the doing, it happens in the pausing. Without moments to reflect, lessons fade. Without moments of silence, the mind becomes loud with noise that doesn't serve. But once stillness is welcomed, everything becomes sharper. And in that clarity, decisions become easier. Life becomes lighter. The person who disconnects finds time to reconnect with what really drives them. They rediscover the why behind their work, their habits, their goals. That connection reignites motivation. It turns routine into passion. It turns discipline into purpose. And that's when consistency becomes effortless. This step is not optional, it's essential. Because a life that is always on the go, without pause, ends up losing direction. Disconnection becomes the compass check, the moment to ask, am I still going where I truly want to go? And if not, it's never too late to realign. One small pause can reroute an entire journey. In the next part, everything comes together. Because what's the point of building great habits if you don't stop to check your progress, refine your approach, and commit again? The final habit is not just a closing chapter. It's the one that keeps the cycle of growth alive. It's time to reflect, reset, and repeat. Let this be your reminder. You don't have to keep running without rest. Disconnect, breathe, reflect, then rise again, stronger, clearer, and more connected to your purpose than ever before. This is United Sports. Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful lessons that move your life forward. Reflect, reset, and repeat. Every transformation is incomplete without reflection. Reflection is not about dwelling on what went wrong. It's about understanding what went right, what can be better, and how to carry forward the lessons. It gives clarity to the chaos and brings purpose to the process. Without reflection, progress becomes blind movement. But with it, every step forward becomes intentional. This final habit is the thread that ties everything together. After waking up with purpose, winning your first hour, mastering focus, feeding your mind, moving daily, and disconnecting to reconnect, now it's time to absorb, analyze, and grow from the journey. Because growth without awareness can easily fade. But growth that is understood becomes part of your character. Reflection is a conversation between your current self and your future self. It's a daily check-in that asks, am I becoming who I truly want to be? It's not judgmental. It's gentle. It helps you realign with your goals, your purpose, and your why. Just a few quiet minutes of reflection at the end of the day can shift your mindset from being reactive to being intentional. Resetting doesn't mean starting over. It means letting go of what no longer serves you and making space for what does. It's a conscious decision to forgive your own mistakes, to learn from your missteps, and to keep showing up. Resetting is strength in disguise. It says, I won't quit. I'll begin again, with more wisdom this time. Every day gives you a new chance to reset. Not just once a year, not just every Monday, but every single day. It's the most empowering truth that many forget. You are never stuck unless you choose to be. And when you reflect and reset consistently, growth becomes a natural rhythm. That rhythm turns into momentum. And momentum is the energy that builds lasting change. This habit teaches patience. While all other habits push for action, this one teaches stillness. In stillness, clarity appears. When life gets too fast, reflection slows it down just enough for you to see where you are going. And when you slow down with purpose, you can speed up with precision. This is what separates those who grow fast and fade from those who grow slow and last. Reflecting on your morning allows you to refine how you wake up with purpose. It helps you recognize which thoughts helped you win and which ones held you back. Reflecting on your first hour lets you adjust your routine for better energy and sharper clarity. It makes every morning stronger than the last. When you think back on how you handled your focus throughout the day, you learn to protect your time better. You begin to see patterns, what distracts you, what energizes you, and what brings out your best work. That awareness turns into mastery. And mastery begins with mindfulness. Looking back at how you fed your mind and body tells you how to better nourish yourself tomorrow. Did the content you consumed lift you up or drain you? Did you move your body or sit still too long? These questions create self-leadership, and self-leadership leads to life mastery. Evaluating how you moved, how disciplined you were with your physical energy, gives you a real sense of how strong you've become. Even if you missed a workout or chose rest, the reflection turns it into a learning moment, not a failure. That's the power of resetting without guilt. When you reflect on your ability to disconnect, to put your phone down, to enjoy silence, to be present with yourself or others, you begin to value peace over noise. And in that, you grow mentally stronger. The more peace you find inside, the more power you carry outside. Reflection builds confidence, because it reminds you that no matter how the day went, you showed up. You made choices. You tried. You learned. And that effort alone is proof that you're growing. It silences self-doubt and lights up self-belief. Reflection is where pride is born, not the ego kind, but the proud kind that fuels your soul. This habit also prepares you for the next day better than any planner or to-do list. When you reflect and reset, you're no longer reacting to life. You're preparing for it. You sleep with peace and wake up with purpose. The cycle becomes a loop of progress, quietly but powerfully moving you forward. Repeating the cycle is where the real power lies. Growth is not about doing something once. It's about doing it again and again until it becomes who you are. You don't just wake up with purpose for 1 week. You keep waking up with purpose, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. You don't win your first hour once. You win it again and again until your mornings become sacred. You don't master focus one time. You protect it daily like your most valuable asset. You don't feed your mind once. You feed it every day because your thoughts shape your world. You don't move daily for a week and stop. You move because your body is the vehicle that carries your dreams. You don't disconnect once to escape. You disconnect often to recharge and reconnect with what truly matters. These are not one-time habits. They are lifelong disciplines. This 7th habit is the anchor. Without it, the other 6 can be easily forgotten. But with it, they are reinforced, re-energized, and reignited every single day. That's why reflection is the habit that keeps all others alive. It's the final habit, but it's also the first one to repeat. So when the week ends, don't stop. Begin again, smarter, stronger, and more aware. Reflect, reset, and repeat. Because greatness isn't born from one good week. It's born from a lifetime of showing up, learning, and growing, one day at a time. This is your journey. This is your rhythm. And it started with one decision, to change. Now, carry these 7 habits forward. Let them become your foundation. Let them guide your days. Let them build your legacy. This is United Sports. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because your story of transformation has only just begun.